Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. It's Friday. You know what that means.
Front Office Friday! I'm tired edition.
I'm tired edition.
No, actually, better. Front Office Friday, Trevor's birthday edition. Happy
Birthday
birthday, buddy.
edition. That's right. That's right. I'm so glad that it's the day after the trade deadline because now we get to tell you what, Keith, the best thing ever. I turned off every alarm. I didn't jump. Every time I got a notification coming in for the first time in at least a week, and I just slept. Oh, it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Must be nice. I slept in today for me to like 6:45 almost, I think.
Dude, what are you doing to yourself? 6:45?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Early riser, man.
Well, I think I
Trevor?
stayed up till 3:30 anyway.
Trevor, you can't expect to soar with the Eagles if you stay up all night hooting with the Owls. Just saying.
I'd rather hang out with the Owls, man.
Oh, man.
Hey, I even have an owl tattoo.
It is
Animal, I guess.
Trevor, they want to know what the intro song is called.
Mega Man.
Mega Man.
No, I don't know. I don't know. It's one we grabbed years ago. I mean, 3-4 years ago. It was in, I think it was in YouTube's free music or something. And I went, oh, that's perfect for us. And I threw that on there.
I love it, man. You know, Trevor gets to see I dance quite often.
He does.
While it's playing on our end before you guys can see us live. So yeah.
You guys can't see it, behind the scenes. I could see Keith's screen. He's over there dancing.
I look a little like the gopher in Caddyshack.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm all right.
Yeah.
That's a good. See, most of the people watching this have no idea what that is.
Yeah, I know.
Probably.
Unfortunately, go watch Caddyshack, guys.
Who's older, me or LeBron? I am older than LeBron. Let's put it that way.
It was the worst when Tom Brady retired because of the sports I follow. That was it. He was the last one. He was the last player I was older than.
Yeah.
So, or that was older than me, rather. There's many players I'm older than. All of the players.
Yeah, all of them now, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, let's do. Today we're gonna do winners, losers. We don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of the trade deadline.
Well, who's or hers?
We'll say all of this with like caveats of who knows on some of these, right? Like what looks good today often doesn't look good later. Trevor was around for the Great Depression. He told us about the fireside chats. Come on. I'm older than Trevor is.
I was not literally there. I did tell everybody about the fireside chats and everything at FDR, but I wasn't there to experience it in person.
And yes, we will do some scheduled nonsense. Have you watched Fantastic Four trailer?
I have.
So we'll talk about that when we get at the very end of the show, though, because ostensibly this is a basketball show, and we should probably talk about basketball. All right, where do you want to? Do you want to start with the good stuff?
Yeah, let's start with the good stuff.
All right, not pandering. Lakers got Luka Doncic. I mean, come on, like that's a that's a win right there. The Mark Williams trade, we've talked about it quite a bit. I'm a little more sketchy on that one, just because they gave up the 2 picks like that.
Yeah.
That's the part I'm a little about. I think it'll be okay. I think it'll probably work out for them. But, I mean, they would have had to do a lot of really dumb stuff to make up for, getting Luka on the bad end. And, that's just such a great get. So I'm there on that one. I think, Luka 100%, win for the Lakers.
Yeah, and I'm not going to argue with you on that. I did think my initial reaction was that the Mark Williams price tag was a little bit of an overpay. But if he is the guy they think that he can be, and Keith, you made the point when you were on Lakers Nation after the trade that that Mark Williams defensively may have another level he can get to, that it's just he's on a bad Hornets team right now that's kind of limiting his defensive impact. So if that's the case, then that deal will wind up looking just fine. But the Luka trade is of course the big one. You took a 31 going on 32-year-old Anthony Davis that you're maybe going to try to build around in a couple of years. That was kind of up in the air, to now you've got your guy, your 1A guy that you're going to build around for the future on so many levels. That's just a massive win for the Lakers, both on the court right now, on the court in the future, and also organizationally to now what the future holds. You're not looking at tearing it down and doing a rebuild. That it was just. I mean, Keith, we said it. It's a trade you take 100 times out of 100. You have
Yep.
to do that deal when that's on the table.
Yeah, it's this is no knock on Anthony Davis because it's a short
Nope.
list of guys that when you start every season and you're like, all right, who are my top 5 MVP candidates? It's a very short list of guys you write in pen, and Luke is one of them. And Anthony Davis isn't that and was never going to be that over the remainder of his career. Like he may have a year where he puts himself in MVP candidacy, but he was never going to be there preseason. You're not going to think of him that way. I just huge win for the Lakers. My next one, we'll just do it because it's tied in. I think the Hornets had a terrific trade deadline. No one's going to look at it and be like, the Hornets, yay. But like they ate some contracts, they moved some money around, they picked up picks from the Lakers, they picked up a pick from the Suns. They also got other stuff in the Nick Richards trade. Dalton Connect's a nice prospect to have. So, when you're really kind of looking at it like underrated winners that it may take a while to pay off, I think the Hornets did really well at this trade deadline.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the Hornets did a nice job. They added pieces for the future. Dalton Connect is phenomenal. That was a really big move for them, moving on from Mark Williams, and credit to them for being opportunistic. They recognized that the Lakers needed a center. The Lakers didn't have a sense. This is from the reporting on it. The Lakers didn't have a sense that Mark Williams was available, and they called up Rob Pelinka and said, "Hey, what do you think? Can we solve your problem here?" And they were able to get a really, really great price. Rob called it or made the analogy that it's like the LA housing market. So sometimes there's stuff that's on the market, but not really. You don't know about it until you find out, and then you have to be aggressive to go get it. And that's what he did. And the Hornets, they got, I think, a great price for a big and Mark Williams. They added some future assets, and now we'll see what this team can be. They are obviously geared towards the future. Also, we got some reporting today that LaMelo Ball is still their 1A guy that they really want to build this whole thing around. So they've got significant assets this season, another lost season, Brandon Miller out with injury and everything. But the future still bright in Charlotte.
Yeah, 100%. And again, something unpopular, or I like to say, is a popular saying of mine: lost season versus bad season. They're already having a bad season. It's turning into a lost season without having Brandon Miller. That part really kind of stinks. So, it is what it is, but you can't cry over spilled milk. You keep moving forward, and they're doing okay. I'll go to next the Cavs. Cavs fans, I think are should feel really good with this. I get it. People have some issues with Dan Gilbert, but one thing we can say, all through LeBron years, he spent heavily and deep into the tax. This team is going to be wildly expensive next year, but DeAndre Hunter's a very good player, and I think they got better, right now and moving forward. So it'll come up a little later. I don't think the Hawks did as poorly as people seem to think they did at this deadline. I think DeAndre Hunter weirdly has started to get a little overrated. When like a year ago, people were like, what a horrible contract. Like, it's just funny how quickly that changes people's minds. But yeah, it's, we'll see, where that goes. But I like the addition for the Cavs. I think they're in a pretty good place.
And for the Cavs, this is all about beating Boston. It's one thing. And in the East, they can really focus it. And the Knicks may be able to be knocking on the door right there. But right now for the Cavs, it's about trying to deal with the one team that they know that if they get to the Eastern Conference Finals, that's probably who they're going to be playing. And so Hunter, I think, gives them a little bit more wing versatility. They are in the market for Ben Simmons. Maybe he adds a little bit something to that team. You're not expecting a buyout player to do a lot. But maybe makes up for some of the ball handling loss with Karis LeVert being on the way out if they land him. And Ben Simmons reportedly choosing between the Clippers and the Cavs. But I think this is a solid
Rockets,
move.
I guess, are involved too. I think
also getting into the mix.
Yeah.
But bottom line, I like what the Cavs did here at the deadline. I like that they were aggressive. They also did it without giving up future first, which they didn't have a lot of to give up anyway. But they managed to
give up some swap rights, but it is what it is with that.
Yeah. And by the way, let me while I'm talking about that really quick, let me throw this out there, Keith. in general across the market, creativity won.
Yeah,
Creativity
big
won when
time.
we saw what teams did out there, and that's part of what made this. I would have to go back and really compare all the different trade deadlines, but this one's up there. If it's not the greatest trade deadline we've ever seen, it's up there. There was so much activity, so much movement, lots of teams getting stuff done, and creativity, despite the new CBA, really ruled the day. And so these teams, despite the restrictions, they found ways around, and oftentimes they had to rely upon each other. We're talking 3-team deals, we're talking 4-team trades, things like that are getting done. So creativity from the NBA front offices to make some of these moves, that was a big win for this year's trade deadline.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you had to make things work, and it's like Jurassic Park, right? Life finds a way. Like they found a way. All these everybody we said for, I feel like it was months. I feel like since we were talking before the season started, that like teams will figure it out. This is not going to be a completely dead trade deadline. The things will happen. Stuff will go down. I'll say this too. I'm gonna pull up. I created this one. Us for content.
No kidding.
Because not only did we have killer content over the last like several weeks, and especially last week in total, but now we have content all the way through the summer because we're going to have constant KD, Trae Young, maybe Giannis if things go sideways for the Bucks. Like we're going to hear a whole bunch of names. And here's, without getting into all that, because there'll be, trust me, plenty of time for it. Trades are going to rule the day again this summer. After all the maneuvering, one team now has cap space this summer, and it's the Brooklyn Nets. Every other team projects to operate over the cap this coming summer. Washington was the only other one, and they are now going to be over the cap because they took on Chris Middleton and Marcus Smart at the trade. They essentially did a move like that was like a weird pre-agency move where it was like, we'll just eat money now into next year versus waiting because the return is better. So just in a crazy place. Keep the Kevin Cannon ready to go. I think we're going to need it based on all the stuff that's already coming out there with everything. So, yeah, I mean, this is just going to be a crazy, several months leading into free agency. And then we're going to see a ton more trades this summer. That's going to be how things get moving around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
we all win with the Kevin Cannon. I'm just that's beyond just the Kevin Durant trade rumors, and we're going to be talking about everything. I'm just so excited that we're going to get to use the Kevin Cannon again.
Me too.
that one stands alone, I believe, at the top of all of our drops.
Yeah, that one are the Dames of our lives. Dames of our lives just got so much use there. So yeah, let's go to. Well, we'll jump back to the team side. I'm going to put the Wizards on the winner list just because they stayed true. At no point have they deviated from the path of we're fully rebuilding. They ate salaries. They did a whole bunch of stuff there. So and they went. I don't know what this means. Safe rides. I stopped doing super chats because I did it twice and never read it. Just put whatever your question was in as a regular question. We'll get to it.
Yeah, if we missed it,
we had a ton of super chats. Way
usually
more
on this show we get to all of them. Sometimes like on Lakers Nation, I save them for the next. So I've got some from last night that will go on tonight's show. Just if that's what you're talking about, but otherwise on this show we tend to get to all of them.
And I will say, I don't know if your super chat was like something extremely rude or something. We're not going to read it.
That's true.
Like we'll just that's not going to happen. But yeah, just drop it in there. And as a regular comment, we'll get to it. But the Wizards picked up draft assets moving forward. I think they're in a decent place. They got a couple of interesting guys in AJ Johnson and Colby Jones who could maybe play a little bit for them. They're not reportedly going to buy out Malcolm Brogdon. I wrote all about the buyout market. If anybody wants to check that out for Spot Track, and don't just skip to the names. Look at please read the explainer, because I really went in to explain why this buyout market, maybe a little more like, that's all. Why some of these guys that are more recognizable names, traditional buyout candidates like Malcolm Brogdon, Bruce Brown, et cetera, may not be available on this buyout market because they're kind of putting their bird rights to a place where that means more for them than it does, getting onto the buyout market. So
Yeah.
I explain all of that for both the player and team side. And then there's a whole bunch of names on there that people can check out too.
It may be a bit of a muted buyout market, but we'll have plenty of time to talk all about that.
Yeah, without a doubt. Another winner for me, the Raptors. I like getting Brandon Ingram for them. I feel like this is a good pre-agency move. They can't get a guy like him in free agency, so get him. It'll all depend on now what's next, right? So maybe that one should be more of a TBD, but they're in a spot where I like the move. You just got to be sensible with the next contract for him. If you get stupid with it, then it's not going to be a good move and you're going to get stuck. But if you pay him enough, then, or pay him a reasonable amount and he's healthy enough, let's go. Like, I think we're in a good place.
So I like him for a couple of reasons. Number one is they picked up the Bruce Brown contract to turn him into something positive. And that's what they're making sure they're doing here. They're getting Brandon Ingram, and ideally they can come to terms on a reasonable contract. If they can't, and they go crazy, like you said, if they give him that 50 million plus, I don't like that so much. That's going to become a negative value contract, I believe. I like Brandon Ingram a lot, but I believe that would be a negative value contract if they give him more than that 50 million or whatever that he's looking for. That said, worst case scenario, and this is, you mentioned it, nobody's got cap space this summer. Worst case scenario, you're signing and trading Brandon Ingram somewhere else and still getting assets for him. And that's if he won't play ball with the number that you want on his next contract. So there's a unusual amount of leverage on the team side in negotiations this summer because of that cap environment that Keith was just speaking about. So I think that this is a very worthwhile gamble for the Raptors. And also say, Keith, typically in these situations, teams already, when they're going to trade for the player, they already kind of have a sense of what it is the player is going to want. And so they probably already know, hey, this is what it's going to take. Okay, yeah, we're good with that. And so it wouldn't surprise me at all. Very early in the free agency process, we hear Brandon Ingram, new deal with the Raptors, and there you go.
Yep, completely agree. I think this one could be one, too, where we could even see a short-term extension here where both sides are like, all right, let's try to give this a try and see where this goes, moving forward. But give me a roster with Barnes, Ingram, Barrett, Quickly, Pirtle, Grady Dick, Ochai Agbaji, Chris Boucher stuck around. He'll probably get extended too. That's a playoff team in the East, I think, or at least they're in the battle for the bottom end of the playoffs, and that's that's not the end of the world. And there's still some upside left, and some of those guys. Plus, they're going to get a great draft pick this year as well. So that's going to be a whole other thing. With that, couple others we could do these ones too.
How about that? I mean, I thought that the Spurs got a great price on De'Aaron Fox and adding him and is that where you were going next too?
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going next.
There you go. There you go.
You know what's funny? That trade, I think, because it happened right in the wake of the Luka one. I keep having to remind myself that it happened.
Right.
And it's like, and it is such a huge trade. But yeah, I mean, they got De'Aaron Fox without giving up any of their best picks and any of their best players. I mean, great work.
You gotta love it.
Do it. You know, unbelievable for them. And now you get your long-term running mate for Victor Wembanyama. Him and Chris Paul actually played well together in the backcourt in their first game. So that'll be how the rest of this year will play out. So yeah, I think that's where it goes. A couple of people were asking about Marcus Smart. I don't think he's getting bought out because he has money into next year. Buyouts are generally very rare to happen on a more than an expiring contract. And he makes a ton of money. Plus, the Lakers couldn't. I know a couple of people were like, Lakers should get. They can't sign him anyway. He makes too much money. So apron teams wouldn't be able to get him. That's part of the reason why buyout guys are not going to go into the market if they make a ton of money because they can't just go wherever they want. Can't get Bruce Brown either. Anybody who makes more than $13 million, they can't get him. So you can stop throwing those guys' names out there for the apron teams. Go ahead. Did you have more on the Spurs?
Nope. I was ready.
All right. Kings. So same trade. They got Zach LaVine, Jake LaRavia, and Jonas Valanciunas in this, basically for De'Aaron Fox. That's pretty good. Pretty good outcome for the Kings.
Some draft capital as well.
Yeah. So I'm very, they some, not a ton, but
not a lot.
I mean, LaVine's really good. Valanciunas is, talk about now you great backup for Sabonis.
Yeah.
And then Laravia has been good and can play. So I think they did really, really well here by jumping into that trade with the Spurs and the Bulls. And then there are other moves, again, minor moves, but that sometimes those really pay off. So I like that they kind of rebuilt things, all the way around.
Yeah,
With that,
absolutely.
all right, I have two more winners.
Okay.
The Miami Heat, the Jimmy Butler saga is over. So
I have the Heat on both sides of it.
Okay. All
I
right.
don't have both sides. So, but winner, yes, just by being done with the Jimmy Butler saga, 100%. Yeah, they've got to be on the winner side for that.
I like Andrew Wiggins too for them. I think Andrew Wiggins is going to be pretty good for them. We'll see. Davion Mitchell just screams Heat player, right? Like, on ball defense, toughness, all the things that they prioritize. Kyle Anderson, I get it. They didn't want him, but nice depth piece at forward. So, all around, I think the Heat did okay in this, and they got a first round pick. It's probably going to be a one in the mid to late teens, but yeah, I'm good with the work that the Heat did in what was a increasingly no win situation for them.
Yeah. Yep. Overall, the air is clear now around Miami. Yep. Jimmy Butler's moved on. Does that mean the Warriors also make it into your winner column?
Yeah, it's the Warriors I have as a TBD.
Yeah.
I get it. They're going to be okay, but boy, it has the chance to go super duper sideways. I mean,
especially what they paid him.
Yeah.
That's Jimmy.
Yeah, that's the one I'm a little not so sure about. But I can very easily see a world where this goes really well for them. They've got a lot of work to still do. They have 4 open roster spots, and they're only $650K under the hard cap. So there's not a
How are they going to do that?
Yeah, they got a lot of work. I'm sorry. I apologize. They're 1.8 million under the hard cap. Sorry. The 650 was the old figure, but still 1.8 million for 4 roster spots. That's not enough to do all that men's. They're going to convert Quentin Post. He'll get one of them. Maybe Pat Spencer, we'll see. And then they'll play the 10-day game. They'll play the 14-day clock game a little bit until they can get to a spot to kind of go get into a good place to go. But yeah, I mean, more work to come there for depth, but I think it'll be okay for them.
Yeah. I'm worried about what they're giving Jimmy Butler here. It's a lot of money, but just a 2-year deal. So that, that helps to mitigate it to
the
a degree.
Lines too, right?
And and his contract lines up with Curry and Draymond. And so if he winds up, if he gives them the offensive punch that they need, and just the creativity that they need, alongside Steph, then great. Then nobody's going to be complaining. But obviously it's a gamble here by the Warriors, but one I think that they needed to make, given where they're at in the standings currently. I'll also say this: the NFL is a winner simply by the NBA trade deadline now being over, and people can pay attention to the Super Bowl. Because look, I know the NBA doesn't hold a candle to the NFL when it comes to ratings and all that. The NBA crushes the NFL on social, but that's not everything, right? I mean, it's the ratings that matter, and way more people watch the NFL than the NBA. But the NBA trade deadline was so insane. Had that been happening during Super Bowl weekend, there would have been some conflict there. So the fact that it's done and now people are going to move past will allow the NFL to just truly rule Sunday, and people are going to focus on the Super Bowl.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. It is funny because I was talking to a bunch of people. There's like a growing sentiment. I tweeted this earlier today among league executives of like, we need to go back to the trade deadline happening during a dead period for games, because even some of the rosters that got put out there yesterday were kind of a mess.
Yeah.
And they're going to be a mess today, probably through the weekend, until some of these guys are, fully in their cities. They've gone through the physicals. They're cleared to play. So yeah, it's going to be kind of gross in that sense. With that, one last thing on Jimmy Butler too, just because there was a lot of confusion. His extension is 100. It's like 111 to 112 million. So in that range, it is not 121 million. I don't know if that was a typo or bad information or whatever, but it's like 111 some or 112 and change, kind of depending on how they did it. With that. So, all right. If we go, my last winner the Detroit Pistons getting Dennis Schroeder for basically nothing. Like, hey, we'll rent out some cap space and that's it. Like, and Dennis Schroeder's going to actually really, really help the Pistons quite a bit because they needed anybody to help them with on-ball work. Schroeder plays better in a system where he's allowed to run pick and roll. He's a much better pick and roll point guard than he is in isolation. Point guard isolation, he just gets super messy and then tends to settle for bad shots. But when he goes, in pick and roll, he either gets himself open or he's, a pretty good pick and roll passer. So I think that's a, pretty solid, pickup for the Pistons. And Lindy Waters gives them another shooter as well.
Did you see Dennis Schroeder took to social media to show he was not too pleased with the Golden State Warriors?
Nah, I'm not surprised. I didn't see it, but
he was critical of the Warriors because they didn't give him his own goodbye post. I think it was just combined on Instagram with the other ones.
He was there for like a week and a half.
Right? I know. He was there for literally, what was it? 6 weeks, 2 months, sure. Right? Something like that. Like that was.
Yeah, go do some skateboard tricks. You'll be fine.
I think he was like, he's going to be expecting a tribute video next time he goes back to Golden State, and then he's going to be upset when he doesn't get it. Now,
and it's like one highlight long.
It's one highlight,
yeah.
and then it says the end.
Yeah.
All right, should we get to the losers?
Yeah, you got.
Do
you want to start one off? I have. I don't have as many.
I've got one. The Phoenix Suns.
Yes.
The Phoenix Suns, you made that trade, 2031 pick unprotected, to turn it into 3 lower quality first round picks with the idea that was going to allow you to do something else. You were going to make some other move with it. It was going to be Jimmy Butler, and that did not happen. They didn't get Jimmy. They didn't get the big piece that they were looking for. And so you gave up a significant future asset in anticipation of a deal that never came to fruition. So that's the Suns. They were expecting it they're expecting to find a way to make it work. They did not. They've got to be in the loser column here.
And you pissed off Kevin Durant.
Yep.
And by all accounts now, that's it. Like, I'm not saying he's going to pull a Jimmy Butler, but it sounds like he's done in Phoenix. That might have been happening anyway. Who knows? Mm-hmm. We were getting towards that kind of time on the KD contract clock. But yeah, you made him mad, and now that's gonna dominate all the way through the next 4 to 5 months until we get to the offseason. Is going to be Kevin Durant's interested in this team, and that team wants him, and this team, and all that. So maybe they can rework it and find a way to flip him into something that's really, really good. But man, that went from NBA Finals team 2 seasons ago when they lost to the Bucks, or I guess it's that 3 seasons ago, to now we're in a spot where it's like it's all come crumbling down on them very, very quickly. They might not even make the play-in tournament, like just with how hard one of those good teams is not going to make it. In the West,
and everybody around them made moves to get better.
Yep. Yeah. So I don't know. That one's rough. I'm with you on the Suns. The next one I have, the Orlando Magic.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything. They did nothing. Sat it out. Had the ability to go do something if they wanted to. But here's the thing. They didn't have to get involved in these blockbuster deals. And they never thought they were going to. But they could have done something to go get, a shooter. Get somebody who could help one way or another. And they just didn't do anything. They completely sat out the deadline. That's been the MO in Orlando. The message is they really want to try to be, see what it looks like now that they're back to mostly healthy. But we kind of know you can't shoot. Your offense isn't good enough. They're going to be a playoff team. Because it's going to default that way, I think. But you're not going anywhere in the playoffs. Not with this week of an offense. Like, it's going to be really, really hard for them to make enough traction offensively to get anywhere.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It was disappointing for the Orlando Magic, especially, and Magic fans have got to be frustrated when you're seeing all these other teams around the league making moves, and the Magic didn't pull anything off.
Yep.
I thought they had a chance to maybe make a little bit of noise in the East this year, but we'll see if it maybe patience pays off and we see a bigger move from them this summer. But got to be disappointing to go through the trade deadline and not see the Magic do anything.
Yep. Leave the standings page up
Mm-hmm.
because my next two are both East teams.
Cool.
The Bucks. Like I don't know.
They needed to do something, and
didn't
really.
Kyle Kuzma has been one of the worst players in the league. If not worse, at least most damaging players in the league. Like he hasn't played efficiently. Maybe Kuzma gets into a place where it is into a place where he's more efficient as like the fourth option and he takes things more serious because he's on a good team, but that it doesn't always go that way. And I'm a little nervous. I get it. Chris Middleton looked like he's literally on his last legs, like struggling to, play games and can't play back-to-backs, but I don't know. And then the Kevin Porter Jr. edition just is weird. Like it just feels like the Bucks were like, we got to do something.
Yeah.
This is the some things they came up with. I don't know.
Keith, you ever watch like the Flintstones or Scooby-Doo where, they go to start running and they just kind of run in place?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The legs just go, but they're not getting anywhere. That's the Bucks.
Yeah.
That's the Bucks. They're running in place. I don't think they did anything that moved the needle for them at all.
Nope.
You still have Giannis, so there's still going to be a pain in the butt to play against just because of that. But I don't think getting Kyle Kuzma changes their fortunes much.
No. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, he could, but I'm not sure. And then my last one, the Bulls. Like, what the heck did we do?
They extended Lonzo when they definitely don't need any more guards. You
kept Vooch. You kept Trey Jones. You didn't flip him in another deal. You have 900 point guards now on this roster. There's no it's just this roster that's going to go to nowhere. Yeah. Their comment of I want we got our pick back in the Zach. You could have kept that pick anyway. They just
had to tank enough and they would have kept their pick.
Yeah, it's just what a weird roster now this is. I don't know. I feel if once you started by moving Levine, you had to go the rest of the way. As I put it, drive down the road the rest of the way. Go the rest of the way into making moves. Counting point guards.
Yeah, Lonzo, Kobe White, Trey Jones, Ayo Dosunmu, Javon Carter, all on this. And then Josh Giddey, his main thing is handling the basketball. So it's not even like there's just
is only good with the ball in his hands.
Right.
It's just it's gross. I know. Yeah.
They started to rip the Band-Aid off and then just left it hanging there.
That's exactly what it feels like. Yeah. I said it was like you started to drive down Rebuild Road, stopped halfway, grabbed a burger, and turned around and went home. It was like, this is too far. I don't want to go all the way there. Let's just go home.
Makes no sense.
All right, couple TBDs for me. We already talked about.
I think there's another one we need to talk about here.
You want to do another loser? Oh,
the Mavs. Look, and this is so don't hear what I'm not saying. This has become my new catchphrase. I'm not saying Anthony Davis is bad. I'm not saying they can't be good. I think Max Christie's already looked good for them. I think they definitely can win. I think they're a dangerous team this year that could potentially come out of the West. I like AD, the fit with Derek Lively when he's healthy, with Daniel Gafford. I think that this team can win right now, but what they've done with their fan base, there's real damage that has been caused here. They're going to hear about it on their next home game, which is coming up tomorrow. They're going to hear about it, and I think they have really done a lot to drive away a number of their hardcore, diehard fans. And I don't think they necessarily anticipated this. Obviously, they didn't get great value. Just the way they handled the whole Luka trade, they didn't even open it up to a wider market. I understand they wanted to keep it quiet, but the general consensus around the league was they got way too little in return for Luka, for their generational 1A guy. And then on top of that, you drove a wedge between the organization and the fan base. And There's a lot of losses here for the Mavs, and that goes with saying that I do think they're going to be good on the floor. I think the pieces they added will help them. I think Mavs fans are going to love Max Christie. I think they're going to love Anthony Davis, but I still think they lost just based on everything else that I was just talking about.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. I guess I'm just trying because it feels like that trade happened like 3 weeks ago because so much has gone on
It does.
already. I'm trying to be like more positive about them because everything is so negative. But yeah, that's totally fair. If I'm gonna put in there that it's they're like I would then I think that's if I'm gonna put the Lakers on the win side for Luka and Luka only at least then it's fair to put the Mavs on this side. All right, couple TBDs quickly, then we can end with a couple pieces of scheduled nonsense, one basketball, one not.
Cool.
TBDs. The Grizzlies didn't really do anything, gave away a couple guys. Smart wasn't really playing for them because he's been hurt most of the time that he's been in Memphis. He's trading away without a loss in production. They freed up considerable flexibility going into the summer. They could even have a little bit of cap space to be able to do something there. So I'm not going to go crazy on that idea yet, but let's see what they do. I don't think they weakened their team all that much right now. And if the Grizzlies fans are like Magic fans why did you not do more? Like, okay, that part I'm not going to argue with too much. That's a little tough, but I think they're okay. I think they're all right there.
I think for the Grizzlies, this solidifies that the Marcus Smart trade was a huge loss. I mean, they gave up draft capital to get him, significant draft capital, and then gave up draft capital to get rid of him.
Yeah,
and that was a big loss for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, they took a swing and it didn't work out. Next TBD for me is the Nets. Let's see what happens. They didn't trade Cam Johnson, didn't trade Nick Claxton.
I'm okay with that.
I'm all right with that too. Let's see what happens now. They didn't have to take a bad deal, so I'm all right with that. I don't really have any issue with them kind of hanging on to those guys instead of making a bad deal. As we always say, no deal is better than a bad deal. A couple people are saying, didn't Kevin Durant turn down the Grizzlies? Yeah, I mean the Grizzlies were trying to do stuff, and the thing is they still could have done it. There's nothing that says I don't think KD's never been the kind of guy who's going to show up and not play. So I get why they didn't do it, but
if it's me, I would have the Grizzlies in the loser column because of the draft capital with the Marcus Smart thing. And then very publicly, you had Jimmy Butler and Kevin Durant say, we don't want to go to Memphis.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Which makes it all the more imperative, right? That you keep the ability to re-sign your guys, right? Like that's so that part we'll go with this. So so we'll see. Now my next TBD kind of related to each other a little bit. The Hawks and the Clippers. I liked the Clippers move to get Bogdanovich. I liked the Eubanks trade. Bogdanovich has been bad this year though.
Yes.
He's really played poorly.
Like Kuzma, but the guard version.
Yeah, and he's not getting lift on his jump shot. Doesn't look like he can really move. Maybe they can get him right. If they can, great. They did clear out a little bit of money, in some of these trades. So they're in good shape going forward. So, not the end of the world with that. And then on the Hawks side, they're getting killed because people are like, you traded DeAndre Hunter, you traded Bogdanovich, you get nothing back. Well, that's not really fair. Karis LeVert can play. Terrence Mann can play. George Niang can play. Those are three guys that I think can play. So I don't really have a huge issue. They needed more on-ball creation. And again, they tooled their cap sheet a little bit moving forward. Why TBD is, I don't love that the Trae Young stuff is already starting. That, he's again now not super happy. So if we go back to Winners Us for content, we're going to have KD, Trae Young updates probably for, months to, come here. So
it's going to be the summer of Trae and KD. I need to build a Trae Young drop. I'll have to come up with something.
We'll have to come up with something fun there.
Yeah.
And then my last one, we already talked about it. That was the Warriors with that one. I didn't put the Trailblazers anywhere because, I I don't
They
know.
needed to do something, and they just didn't. But
Trade him for the
with how
vet.
poorly Jeremy Grant played, and the rumored asking price they had on
Yeah.
on see, my brain is fried at this point,
Rob
Keith. That is
Williams.
Rob Williams. My
Yeah.
goodness, I went to Thomas Robinson. That was where my brain.
My
Rob
guy.
Williams.
Like my favorite guy.
That's right. Rob Williams with wanting rumored to be wanting an unprotected first. They were never going to get that for Rob Williams. So yeah, they needed to do something, but we'll see if they come to their senses this summer on their prices.
All right, I'm gonna do this real quick, and then we could do Fantastic Four, and then I have to bounce. So trade deadline numbers. How many? You don't know this. You have not seen these yet. How many trades do you think there were since December 15th? So when trade season opened?
28 is my guess.
You were super close. There were 26.
Oh, okay.
Total trades. How many players do you think got traded?
Oh, 75.
Man, look at this guy. He's right on it. 74.
Oh,
72 plus
so
draft
close.
rights for a few guys got moved. 4 players were traded twice during that time as well. So these numbers are all courtesy my guy Scott at Spot Track.
Mm-hmm.
All right, how much total money
do
you think was moved in these trades? Cap hits we're going off of here.
I mean, just Jimmy, AD, and Luca alone is a lot. Are we talking? We got to be like what, $1 billion?
Just shy, pretty close, almost $800 million.
Okay,
I
knew it had to be pretty close.
$794 million. Yep. How many draft picks do you think got traded? And these are unique draft picks, not ones that moved
swaps
multiple times. Pick swaps do we are
pick swaps count.
Swaps. Yeah.
Okay. 37.
No, I'm gonna give you a hint. It's a nice number.
69.
69.
Wow. Okay, it was way more than I thought.
Yeah, crazy, right? And then last one, I'm not going to make you guess this one. 11 instances of cash considerations.
Wow.
So yeah, so there we are, man. There's your trade deadline numbers with that. So crazy busy trade deadline. So,
this
and
is
everybody got this first. I'm going to be putting that on social when we wrap up here in just a minute. So
an all-time great NBA trade deadline.
Unbelievable.
Fantastic.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
All right. Should we do scheduled nonsense here?
Yeah. Let's start out with this. Trevor has a Marvel channel that he posts on sometimes.
I'm sure we haven't done anything on it in months.
I was going to say it's once the season. Guys, for us, once the season starts, there's very little time to do anything else because we do have families. Our time is filled with family stuff beyond this. With that. So
my wife is so excited for the trade deadline to be over. That's for sure. Yes. Okay.
All right, but let's do a little scheduled nonsense.
Fantastic.
What did you think about the trailer? Fantastic Four trailer, obviously.
I love that it feels totally different than anything else, and that they're going with the 60. It almost was and it makes sense because the time period. It was like a live action Incredibles kind of in terms of
in terms of it that way, but
and it's the same time period that we're talking about.
Yep.
So that makes some sense. But I love that it feels different than everything else that we've had so far. And so that to me makes it exciting. Like you can tell it's part of a different universe. I know it's supposed to all come together in Secret Wars and everything like that, but I think it's cool that you're going to be sterile and just artistically you're going to get a look at something that's going to look totally different than all the other superhero movies.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it leaves, because this is clearly happening in a different timeline, this leaves it to have really fun ways for how they get incorporated in the bigger story. I get when the folks are like, the people are like, Galactus is like bigger than the planet. Like he eats planets. Like, why was he, he was far bigger, but like you see him in relation to the Statue of Liberty, should be even bigger than that. I think they're going to do that's very hard to represent on a screen. Like then you're talking about him being celestial sized or even bigger, and that just gets a little weird with that. So, yeah, I'm not I'm not super stressed about that. I didn't leave it like, oh my god, I can't wait. I'm
Yeah.
so fired up for this. But I think that's okay, and I think that's intentional. I think Marvel, like a lot of movies, they've started for a long time. They gave too much in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, man, I got to the movie and like I kind of already knew. So yeah, and people are saying Galactus can shrink himself. So I
Yeah.
get it. That's how they're gonna do it. So but yeah, it's just at some point I would like to see Galactus. Like I'd like to see him consume a planet. I think that would be kind of fun. With that. But yeah, it's gonna be really good. I do like too. We didn't see Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards do any of his stuff, like none
Yeah.
of his powers, and that's cool. I kind of hope, like, let's just keep that. Like, let's wait till he does it. Like that, then I want to see. We kind of saw a little bit with some of the others, with that. So yeah, I get some people don't really like the way oh my god
Pedro
Ben
Pascal.
no
Oh, The Thing.
yeah, The Thing. People don't really love the way like he looked. Like they didn't like that look. I'm okay. You want it to look different from what he's looked like previous. So I don't have
Yeah.
the end of the world. So yeah. Yeah. And then good call out here. They didn't show Silver Surfer either.
Yeah.
So, which is also true with that. So
yeah, no Silver Surfer. I don't know about the whole doing the female version of the Silver Surfer thing. Like in general, I'm like, give
here's a
the
comics
fans
version where Silver Surfer is a female. So
right, but most think of Silver Surfer as
Sure.
the male version, as Norrin
Yeah.
Rad, and everybody wants
Yeah.
to see that. Now they did that in the other Fantastic Four movies, and maybe it's just to distance themselves from that because they want to have such a different look and feel. So I get that. But in general, I'm not a big fan of like swapping what a character is and everything based on what fans want to see, unless there's like a real purpose to it. And maybe there is. And so that's what I want to see. If there's a purpose in the storytelling, that's something different. But we'll see. Otherwise, it's just kind of just to create attention and all that kind of stuff. Like, and kind of I'm out on that stuff. But in general, I'm excited for this. I was really hoping to see John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic again, but Pedro Pascal is such a phenomenal actor. Like I'm sure it's going to be that's going to be great. So I'm not going to worry about that too much. Overall, I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see it. And my only thing that I like, it's not a hesitation with it or anything like that, but my concern would be that people are going to go into it really just waiting to see what's next. And that's Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. The rumors that he's going to make an appearance, maybe at the end, maybe in a post-credit scene, something like that. And that's going to be the big thing people are really focused on rather than the movie itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's totally fair. But yeah, I'm super excited. I think it's gonna be awesome. I'm very excited for the new Captain America movie in 7 day a week from today, which we'll figure out front office Friday on that day because I'm gonna try to go despite
I'm gonna be getting on a cruise
Valentine's Day. Oh, that's right. So guys, we'll figure something out. Maybe front office Thursday night, but
I will actually be traveling. I get on the next day, but I'll be traveling that day. But we'll figure something. We'll do a Thursday evening or something. We'll figure it out.
And we'll let you guys know next week. Everything's gonna look a little weird with us for All-Star. We're finally gonna shut down and take a little bit of time off. But we'll do that, with that. But hey, trade deadline in the books. Final trade is finally done too. The Kevin Porter Marjon Beauchamp was finalized and announced. I don't know what took hours. Everybody, I guess, just went to bed and said we'll leave that one for tomorrow. But it's now too, and we'll see. So appreciate everybody for hanging out with us. I got to run. I've got to go do radio. Trevor's got, I don't know, a million things probably to do. So we're in a good place.
Thank you everybody for joining us. Till next time. See ya and stay safe.